Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Let me just turn the volume down there a little bit. I think it looked like it was a bit peaking up there a little bit. I apologise if that was a bit loud. Hello, folks. How's everybody doing? How was your weekend? I trust everybody had a very nice weekend. I hope you were up to some nice, good stuff. I was away with my family visiting some friends over in the northwest. We drove over there on Saturday after the little one's swimming lesson, and then came back on Sunday. It was very nice. It did mean that I missed a couple of Marvel Crisis Protocol events up here in the northeast that I couldn't attend, and I also couldn't attend Salute. No doubt we'll mention Salute as the night goes on a little bit. But yeah, I had a great weekend. Thank you very much. Quite relaxing. So yeah, what were you lot up to? Who got any hobby in? Who managed to paint some bits and pieces? Who even was lucky enough to play some games? So let's see who we've got tonight in the chat. Now, there was a long conversation. Marcus the Suitor Pumpkin Man was in nice and early. Hello to you, sir. And then Lord Maiden, Mark Wright snuck in there as well. Hello, Mark Wright. And then Lord Maiden and Tolmart had a right old chat. Yes, they did. So I'm having to scroll way down the page. Ortega, hello, mate. Hello in the catch up there, fella. Hope you're well. We had Blizzards coming in with these pork chop sandwiches. We had Christian as well. Good evening, mate. How are you doing? We've got VJ just finishing off his run. Hello, VJ. We got Busey's in as well. Hello to you, matey. Deep Red says he's in early. Nice to see you as well. Hail and well met. We got Ed in as well. Good evening to you, Ed. Anna's in as well. It is a long time no see. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Peter Stockdale, hello to you. Jason, good evening as well. Cordus is in. Baitor's in as well. Hello to you. Tasty Brain Drain, nice to see you, mate. We got Tiberius in as well. Hello. We got Palmsy. Is Palmsy just shit? No. Different gear TVs there as well. We got Palmsy. Oh, Busey as well. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Hello, mate. How are you doing? We got Nigel Jones. Good evening to you. Andrew says, Andrew Fairbanks says, hello to you and the rest of your degenerates. Said it's his first vacation day since April. Went back to sleep for 3 hours. May have gotten more done in only 1 hour. Even got a chance to paint. That's not too bad, mate. Your only vacation day. That's putting the effort in, mate. James is saying good greetings as well. Going to stay up late for the Rams tonight. Sadly not, mate. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning kickoff for me here. That would be kind of like a write-off for tomorrow's work day, I think, if I did. But yeah, it's a shame. I don't like it when they're the 2 o'clock kickoffs, because I pay for the Game Pass app, so I get to see all the games live through the season. But the last couple have been 2 o'clock kickoffs, and it's always a disappointment when that happens. Yoakum, hello, mate. He said, I always want to follow hello up with, is it me you're looking for? Always, mate. Always looking for you. Blizzards has managed to assemble some Rough Riders and some Cryptologists for McCabe's crew over the weekend. Nice to see. Oh, dipping into the Explorer Society now, mate. Very nice. We've got John Justinson. Hello to you as well. Have a great evening. I hope you're having a great evening as well, I should say. Peter Nicholas, nice to see you, mate. JK said his Clash of Kings arrived today. See you about to talk about the new Kings of War updates. I don't know if we'll talk about the updates so much, mate. I haven't got my hands on Clem, the Clash of Kings boot yet. But we will be talking about the Riftforged Orcs tonight. Chuck and Deb Taylor, hello to you. She's working on a D1000 or D100 dungeon map and game pieces over the weekend. And Peter says there's been a few snakes and lots of spiders, but a few gobos and 2. So yes, tonight I thought what we'd do is we'd have a bit of a news roundup kind of one tonight as well. So what kind of looking around to see what have I kind of been interested in. The new Riftforged Orcs from Mantic for Kings of War, which we've not really spoken about on the stream. So I thought we'd touch on them tonight. What are they? Why are they any different to normal orcs? Kind of like what can you expect from them? So I thought we'd top on it where we'd jump in and have a little chat about that. And I also want to talk about probably what I would say is the best value gaming mat you can get your hands on. And I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm going to show you the mat as well. I prepare these things. I've done this before, you know. So yeah, we're going to talk about the best value. And when I say best value, I mean it is absolutely fantastic price, and it is also really good quality as well. You can buy more expensive mats. I'm not even sure you can buy cheaper mats, if I'm honest. It might be the cheapest, but yeah, we'll get to that one. Jez Hunt, good evening to you, mate. And he says evening, Focarinos. I'm glad I pronounced that right. We've got Tony Howland as well. Good evening to you, and Dominic's in as well, saying just popping in to say hi. and he's going to catch up tomorrow. And Blizzard saying he got the Explorers book in the post. You'll enjoy it, mate. There's some good stories in there. So yeah, we'll just I think we'll crack on. And I was going to talk about, I think we'll start with Salute as well, because I was going to make Salute kind of a bit of a topic for tonight, and I thought, you know, I can't talk about it with any confidence. I didn't get to attend, so I'll be talking about second-hand stories. I'll be kind of passing off other people's experiences, kind of as kind of information, really. And I know everybody has different experiences, so I thought I'm not going to kind of talk about it as like a main topic, but I want to talk about it in terms of the fact that I think, from what I understand, from what I read on Twitter over the weekend, from what I've seen on Facebook, from what I've read on what I've seen on YouTube videos, it was a bit of a mixed bag in terms of, it was really good to have Salute back again. It was nice to kind of get folks meeting up with people and being able to kind of see folks. Again, it was really nice that they'd managed to kind of get a bit more space at Excel as well, so there was a bit more space between kind of traders and between demo games or like display games, I should say. So it was nice to kind of have them all spread out. But I think, unfortunately, what seemed to happen is there are some traders and there are some kind of clubs or display kind of games that just kind of didn't turn up on the day. So obviously there was tables set out for them, there was spaces laid out for them, but they just didn't turn up. And I must admit, I'm not really sure which companies they were. I'm not sure which demo games they were. It's not like I know kind of who attended and who didn't. I kind of know who attended from what I saw online, but I'm not really sure who didn't attend. But it seems strange that it was a bit of a last minute thing that kind of, I'm sure there must have been some folks who kind of knew in advance of the Saturday morning, for example. So like sort of it could have been organised without all of the kind of like the tables and the gaps left lying around. So I don't know if it's just been some kind of miscommunication or whether it's been last minute changes of plans for folks, if there was any issues with people getting there. I don't really understand what went on, but from what I understand, the folks that went had a good time. It was kind of nice to get kind of gaming underway again, and I think Salute in April next year will be kind of, I would imagine, be a bit more back towards what it was. Because another reason I wasn't kind of keen on talking about it tonight without the information is the fact is that I don't really want this to kind of turn into like a COVID chat. Kaylee's just saying there could have been a load of positive tests. It quite well could have been, but it seems a bit unusual that there was kind of so many at the last minute. You think they would at least kind of contact and say they weren't coming the day before. I can't imagine they all got positive tests that morning. But I did see some people complaining that they didn't want to travel all the way to London only to not get in, and I don't know whether they were misunderstanding the idea of either having your COVID pass or having like a negative test before you go. So I didn't really want to kind of get into that side of it, but there's obviously more to it than just the fact that it's reduced because of kind of the pandemic type thing. Because there was a lot of people there. There was probably, I think I heard, there's about 4,000 people attended. There's normally over 5,000, but I definitely heard there was a lot less kind of traders and stuff. And I kind of wondered whether there was some kind of chat in that about, you know, are gaming shows going to change kind of forever now, or is it really just a kind of a short-term thing? But again, and I do stress this, I think we end up going down the road of talking about COVID, and I don't really want to. Who have we got in? We've got a few folks sneaking in. Hello to Phil Campbell. How are you doing, mate? Kaylee Anderson says, want to be painting while listening, but the cat does not allow it. How very dare the cat. Miniature Adventures, good evening to you. Hello, Rob Zunk as well. Hope you're well, buddy. We've also got Jason said he's got his gaming underwear on. Nice one, mate. Chris Warden says, long time no watch. Nice to see you, mate, as well. Welcome. We've got the old gangs in tonight. Nice to see you all. Yeah, Busey says could be due to high infection rates. I just find it strange that it was kind of like it was all set up for them on the Friday night for then no one to attend on the Saturday. That's the bit I found was a bit weird. That there was obviously a lot of people who basically just didn't even like let them know really. Colton Lane saying Orcs. Yeah, we're going to chat about Orcs, mate. We're going to chat about the Riftforged Orcs, the new ones from Mantic. Peter Kuhlman, good evening to you. VJ saying, yeah, time to freshen up and hit the painting table. We've got Christian in as well. saying, I'm without Wi-Fi in the new house, so won't be for long. Oh dear, mate. Andrew says, the backlighting doesn't work for me tonight, brother. The backlighting doesn't work. Too moody. The backlighting. Oh, you mean on the back here? This is just the I just put some of the more Wild West Exodus stuff up there. I'd been painting them, and I put them up there because they were empty, and I put them up to get them off the table while I was tidying, and then I just kind of rearranged them and left them, mate. Chris says, getting really tired of the vid talk and politics in hobby shows. Yeah, that's kind of why I try to stay away from it, mate. To be honest, is that I think it's an interesting conversation to say is like. Are we going to get gaming shows kind of back to how they were, or have people's attitudes changed? But I think we end up just devolving down into the same kind of conversation, to be fair. Blake C says, skipping a word call for this important stuff. Welcome, mate, welcome. VJ saying, Monpok Kickstarter's looking like a ripper, so many stretch goals. Yeah, I'm staying well away from Kickstarter, mate. Ty Baby says, exhibitors not turn up isn't unusual. Yeah, I'm just surprised that they just like kind of just don't turn up at the last minute kind of thing. And Kaylee saying, gaming shows seem pointless in the modern internet era. I can easily find and browse all the traders online. I made a video about 3 years ago now about why I'm not going back to Salute. And it's funny, actually, I was searching for Salute videos today to kind of to try and find a bit more information, and mine came up in the search, and always around Salute time it kind of gets a few views coming back round again, and it was essentially kind of summing it up very, very quickly was essentially that, really. I think Salute is a wargaming show for me, without the idea of going to see friends, and without the idea of it going like from a business point of view to see companies and stuff like that. There's nothing there anymore. Basically, there's not enough demo games. This is pre-COVID. There wasn't enough demo games to actually get and try stuff. There wasn't enough spaces to kind of hang out, and there wasn't enough to keep me there for the day, basically. So yeah, that was kind of how I felt. Kodos is saying, with our hobby being a social one, very hard to talk about the hobby without mentioning it. Yeah, but the problem is you can just kind of focus on that kind of stuff, and we don't have to. There's plenty of tournaments happening at the moment. There's plenty of, like, there was a wargaming convention the week before, or a couple of weeks before, and I forget what it was called now. And it was really well attended, and kind of we didn't have any of those kind of dropout issues. So who knows? Yeah, Jess is saying it'll all settle down and get back. I think so, mate. I think it's potentially taken a bit longer than I imagined, actually. Lord Min saying, all the new Riftforged Orcs better than Barley. Better than Barley. That's a random combination, mate. Yeah, VJ saying that Monpok and Core Request are only 2 Kickstarters this year. Phil says mood lighting a bit smooth jazz. I haven't changed the lighting, mate. Nothing's changed from behind me. It always looks like this. It's the same every week. All that changes is there's normally something in the box. I think obviously the darker boxes, mate, but I haven't changed any of the lights. The lights are exactly the same as they always are. Marco says, hello gang, just finished painting some 15mm minis. Thankfully the last ones. And Christian says he's got no internet at the house at all. He's only on the phone. Oh wow. VG saying, fingers crossed for Core Request to deliver before Christmas. I must admit, I'm not really sure kind of how close that is to delivering, mate, to be honest. Camo, good morning to you. Kaylee saying Fiasco. It wasn't Fiasco, it was something else. I can't remember what it was. Was it? Oh, I forget. It was another kind of relatively kind of, especially if you're into kind of the more historical side of stuff. It was quite sort of it was quite recent, and it was quite well attended. Ed saying Sloop doesn't have a big draw event like Nationals at UK Games Expo. I'm surprised it's like never like kind of has any more like sort of gaming type stuff. It's more well known for its kind of demo tables, but you can't really play them. You just have to kind of wander along and like look for 5 minutes and go, yeah, I can appreciate the hard work that goes into it, but then it's like, all right, now I'll move on to the next one a little bit. RPD, hello there. Just says you want to drop by and say hello. Thank you very much. Sunday Psych, good morning to you. Christian sharing the link there for Patreon as well. Thank you, Christian. Vijay says it's close to delivering, but Dan's being cautious. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. Anything can happen once it gets to customs and stuff. And Jess is saying that's not nearly enough likes. I can't see how many likes we've got. Anyway, let me get my stuff in the right place, and we can have a look at the Riftforged Orcs. So, for those of you that haven't seen this, I'll show you the pictures, to be fair. Riftforged Orcs are the new army from Mantic Games for Kings of War, for the big mass battle game. And Mantic's been kind of smashing it out the park lately when it comes to kind of releasing new stuff. They've had a few new games out. We've had Overdrive come out. We've had the new Dead Zone 3rd edition. We've had new stuff coming on a regular basis for Armada. And now we've had 2 brand new armies, as well as some kind of updated units for armies as well. So they really are kind of pushing the buttons at the moment and getting these out. But these are basically a new kind of orc army. And for those thinking, well, there's always been orcs in Kings of War. Why are these any different? These basically are based upon... So Halpi's Rift was the kind of... was meant to be the summer campaign. Didn't end up being the summer campaign and came out a little bit later on, unfortunately. And what happened... It kind of all grows out of Halpi's Rift. And essentially what happened is an Abyssal Dwarf Ironcaster opened up the rift beneath the Halpi Mountains and caused all sorts of dangerous magic to swirl around Panathor. And then basically we got Oscan summoned a Gark. So Oscan is one of the wicked ones, basically. He kind of saw that it was time for evil to kind of rise to the front again. So he summoned someone called Garkan, who was the original creator of the Orcs and Goblins. And basically together they formulated a plan to try and like destroy all good basically in Panathor. And what they do is basically he harnessed the power of the violent unnatural storms that raged across the world, and basically he basically brought back forward this energy basically, and he summoned the Underlands, which basically set about their forges. And essentially what he did was, as the Battle of Halpi's Rift was taking part, he basically selected as it says here, the prime cuts. So he's basically getting the bodies from the fallen, and he's got some kind of twisted experiments going on, and using the power of the rift, he forges these new orcs. And these orcs are essentially like, they're kind of orcs in the fact that they are violent and they are strong and they're bloodthirsty, but they're a bit more organized. They're a bit clever. They're kind of like, they've actually got some kind of organization to them. They're not just all out kind of crazy orcs just running, all for the same target kind of thing. They have some organization. They have some kind of strategy amongst them. That's the word I was trying to think of. Now the artwork for these is beautiful. I really do like this image. I used this image on the thumbnail tonight as well, and I really like it. And it gives you a flavour of that kind of what they've done, what Mantic have done with these orcs. And so basically it goes on and tells us about the war in the Abyss. So I urge you to go into their Mantic's blog and read these, and it'll give you the full backstory and stuff. And then what they've also done is they've had a chat with Matt James from the Kings of War Rules Committee, talking a little bit about like how are they different from the other orcs. And I think, is it on this one? I think they're on this one. This one, there's another one about designing them. This is the one I wanted to kind of talk about. And about kind of where the idea come from and how to design them. Again, we've got that artwork there, and then we've also got pictures of the new plastic sprues. So these are a hard plastic kit, as you can see there. You've obviously got 10 bodies on the sprue. You've got things like shoulder pad things. You've got different weapon options, different arms here. The one thing to kind of notice is that these are armed with hammers. So they don't have kind of swords, they don't have kind of clubs or anything like that. These ones actually have hammers. And it says that as a callback to Garkin and to differentiate them from the existing orcs. But you can always kind of take axes and stuff as well. There's some upgrade packs planned in the new year, it says, which is quite nice. There's an element of some of the mythos behind them being kind of like Norse inspired as well, which is really interesting. And then there's some pretty cool sort of design art really to show what we're looking at. So we've basically got, I think the leader here on the left on this Mantic core is called Stormbringer. He's basically the warlord of the Riftforged Orcs. We've also got these Cyclopses here as well, which I must admit, this one here, if you can see my mouse. This one's got a very kind of gurney, kind of a little bit too much drugs face, but the rest of them look pretty awesome. Yeah, and here's some of the kind of like the concept art with Stormforged shrine there as well, which looks pretty cool. And then, for those of you who know Martin Thurwell, he's works for Mantic, and he's been sort of building up the start of his, and he has some. You can kind of see how they're looking like built up and how they're starting to come together. They look awesome, and there's obviously cavalry as well. So these are not quite finished yet, but you've basically got the leader here, Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore, and it looks just. I think these are really, really nice. They lean into the less kind of like not so much savage orcs, but the less kind of like sort of Neanderthal orc. These ones are really kind of, you know, they have some kind of military intelligence, if you like, and I really like what they're doing. And also we have this image as well. So there is a guy on on Twitter called Artist Empire. And Mantic have been using him recently to do some kind of art for. You'll be familiar with some of his art that was in the Dead Zone 3 rulebook. And what he basically does is he takes photographs of painted miniatures that somebody's been painting, and then he uses kind of his computer wizardry to do what he calls kind of like a paint over. And he essentially uses something like, I'm assuming like Photoshop basically, to kind of to bring those images to life. So they look well. I used to say they look like artwork, but like, I mean, they were artwork before, but you know what I mean. He adds something to them, and this is what he did to Martin's unit of orcs there, and it looks absolutely awesome. It really does kind of like set the tone there as well. So there has been a hell of a lot of information basically. So if you go to Mantic, you go to their blog. If you click on blog. And then if you come down here, I think if you go back a page to page 2, you'll start to see from here who are the Riftforged Orcs, I should say. And then there's basically the interview with Matt James. There's a thing about designing the Riftforged Orcs. And then there is also some stuff in here about Clash of Kings. So Clash of Kings, for those that don't know, is basically like an annual update which tweaks some of the units. It brings in any new armies. So the Halfling army and the Riftforged Orcs lists are in this book as well. And it basically kind of shakes up the meta a little bit. We've got Martin's blog here as well about creating his stuff. And then obviously you can see there's other stuff that Mantic are talking about as well. So if you are interested in these Riftforged Orcs, I would 100% kind of recommend go over and check out these blogs. I think Mantic are really kind of, they're on the ball these days when it comes to kind of updating this blog stuff. And there's like a nice kind of flow of information. It's not a case of like everything comes out in one lump and then it's like months and months before we hear anything else. They've really got a handle on that kind of like sort of drip feeding stuff out enough to keep it interesting, but like not so much that basically we go for long periods of time with no information. And it's really nice to see. So yes, so that's kind of the orcs. I think they look really, really nice. If I hadn't kind of started on my halfling army, I'd have been tempted, I think, to pick these up. But as it is, I've got one army on the go now, so I don't need to start another one before I've even getting the first one to the table. So yeah, I think if it hadn't been for that, I think I would have maybe kind of, or maybe would have considered that, to be fair. Andrew's saying, yeah, you're right about the background. It's the same. What's different is you look like you're a foot back from where you usually are. Do you know what, mate? I think the only difference is I probably do that and lean on the table. I think that's all it is, mate. I'm just sitting in my chair. I definitely haven't moved. I'm not rearranging the studio, mate. That's for sure. Lord Minson, you've never heard of Better Than Barley? I have never ever heard of Better Than Barley, mate. It must not be a northern thing, surely. Jez is saying, ooh, orcs, good on Mantic. Yeah, Regis is with all the the stuff coming from other companies, no. Oh, with all the great stuff coming out from other companies, no one needs GW anymore. GW still makes some nice stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's what I would say to that kind of. I know it was a flippant comment, but what I would say is it's not the night and day so much anymore now. Where it used to be, well, GW just mopped the floor with everybody else, and then there's the other stuff. I think that gap's really closed down now. Andrew says, I thought they removed unlikes. I think it depends whereabouts you are, mate. In some regions you can't see the unlikes. In some regions you can. I think they're kind of testing it in certain places. Jez is saying a bit Urukai. Yeah, so they are a little bit kind of Lord of the Ringsy. But I must admit, I'm not overly keen on the new Orcs with GW, the ones that they did for 40k. They didn't really kind of push my buttons too much. And I know they're trying to kind of, even the ones for AOS, they're trying to get a little bit more, I hasten to say realistic, but like less comedy-esque, I think. But I think I prefer the Mantic ones, if I'm honest. Chris Warden saying Primaris Orcs. A little bit, mate. Yeah, a little bit. Andrew saying people were just avoiding it by posting like this comment. Oh, that's something else talking about. Stormcast Eternals. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, isn't there? Yeah, Chuck and Deb Taylor saying really like the artwork. Tasty Brindrin saying yeah, really nice piece of art. Just saying Cyclops are cool. Yeah, one of them has got a little. It might be just the angle of the picture, but one of them has got a little bit of a funny, yeah, a bit of a gurning face going on. Kelly saying, "You made I bloody love you, Gunny chewing gum." Yeah, I'm gonna go back and find that picture now, just to re-show it. It's which one is it? It's the one with the Cyclops on, isn't it? So is it in the main one? I think it was in the main one. No, it wasn't. It's in the designer one, I think, isn't it? Let me go back to it. Yeah, it was this one, wasn't it? And I'm going to try and... can I zoom in? There, I can. We'll zoom in and we'll try and get in a bit closer so you can see the one I'm talking about. There we go. We're on here, aren't we? So it's this gentleman here. So this one looks kind of like, angry and a bit like sort of, like he's really kind of this one, you can see he's kind of he's got a bit of a kind of like a longer jaw type thing. But it might be just the way it's painted or something. But that one looks like his face is like folding inside a little bit. And that can't be good, can it? That can't be good. You definitely need to see a doctor about that, I would say. Yeah. Chaos Orcs, yeah, they are. They're kind of Chaos Orcs makes, yeah. Andrew Fairbanks saying they look cool. Probably would have been more into Kings of War if those were their initial Orcs. Yeah, I mean the old Orcs came out. Oh God, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. They were out quite some time ago. Yeah, these ones are much nicer. Yeah, Luke Pryor, good evening to you, mate. Kaylee saying, are halflings hoardy? I want another Kings of War armor, but after 4k points a night stock as a horde is out of the question. Not really. I mean, they can be, but they have a lot of cavalry as well and like sort of big machines and stuff. So you can you can take them sort of in a number of different formats really. Busey says there's only one dislike, but 37 likes, so all good. I don't really care about dislikes, mate. It doesn't change my life. Kaylee says, but those balloons and robot trunk boy are very tempting. Yeah, there's kind of they have a lot of like machines and kind of they've got the big plow thing that they kind of that they've got as well. There's a number of different machines and flying options and cavalry and things. Sunlit Sykes says, I wouldn't say I'm a GW fanboy, but I do tend to gravitate to their visual aesthetic most of the time. But with the rise in 3D printing, I'm finding more stuff I like. Yeah, I would say, if anything, I've probably moved away from it. They were always, I would say, GW were always kind of, what impressed me about GW was, regardless of whether I liked it or not, they always kind of pushed the boundaries. So when they were bringing out a new army, it was always very different. It was a little bit kind of it was very different from anything they'd done before. They didn't care about, like, care's not the right word, but they wanted to kind of to push the envelope of what people expected, and there was always a case of people loved them or people hated them. There was never this kind of, oh well they're all right kind of thing. They're all right. But I think over time that feels like they're playing it a bit safe now, and I feel like the stuff that comes out now is a little bit. It's kind of a bit middle of the road for me now, personally. That's just my taste. For my taste, I would say. Ed saying the crew boys were rubbish, but honestly, the commandos and the Octarius boss are nice. Yeah, the crew boys, I think, is the one I was kind of referencing, mate. JK says, I attended Clash of Kings 21 tournament in Cardiff. Out of about 90 plus armies, I was the only Orc player. I couldn't believe it. Hopefully these new models and updates will bring Orcs back into favour. Well, I think the thing is, Jay, is that you actually can take these Orcs in your Orc army as well. So it's not like whilst they can be a completely separate army, you can take them as well. So it might be that some folks might kind of sort of start to mix them together anyway. Sunday Sykes saying, if I had a use for those Orcs, I'd be getting slightly poorer pretty quickly. Yeah, honestly, like I say, I've got my over there on the shelf. I've got my new Halfling army. I'm starting to build up and stuff. I'm just waiting for some MDF bases to get delivered so I can start to kind of map them out and stuff. But if I hadn't picked up the mega army for that, I think I might have been tempted to make this my new army. Kelly said I should not have double dropped. It definitely looks like the face is kind of folding back in on itself a little bit. It looks, says that Orc looks a bit constipated. That one looks like he's enjoying himself. What a time to be alive to have smiling models. Tyrese says, I like the original Orcs. I don't hate the original Orcs, mate. I must admit, I've got some of them, and I think they're fine. They're okay, but I would say that these ones are way nicer. Peter says the new Orc Commandos float my boat. Do you know why I think I don't mind the Orc Commandos, but I think the only reason I like them is the fact that they've retained some of the kind of, not comedy aspect, but like the humorous side of it, if you like. The fact that they kind of like the commando with a kind of woolly tactical hat thing on, they've retained some of that, where I think the other stuff they've moved away from it and they've tried to go kind of like mega serious a little bit. Christian saying, get your OG t-shirts and hoodies. Thank you very much, mate. There's a link there if you want to treat yourself just before Christmas to a BlackJack Legacy t-shirt or a hoodie. Gary Barber, hello to you, mate. He says, hello from Portugal. I got the new Orc Combat Patrol box. I do like the sculpts to complement the older boys. Just need to find time to get them built. I like the more cartoony Orcs. Yeah, I think I kind of do, mate, to be honest. I'm not a massive like Orc fan or Orc player. I've never wanted to kind of collect an Orc army or anything like that. But so depending upon where the Orcs are from, like different manufacturers have all got different styles. There's definitely some that I like way more than others. And they're an army where I've never really had the urge to kind of dive in and paint up one, whether it was to play or whether it was just for a bit of fun, like say something just to do as a bit of a mini project. I've never really kind of had that feel about them. But these Mantic ones, I must admit, I do quite like them. Pomsy saying I've got a lot of stuff to paint, but Kings of War is one of the things I want to finish the most because it sounds so fun. It's a great game, mate. Honestly, you won't be disappointed if you get a chance to push some stuff around and have a try of it, mate. You'll really enjoy it. Cool. So, gaming mats. I'm a big fan of gaming mats, I must admit, and I've always kind of sort of pushed the boat out a little bit, shall we say, and I've always invested into sort of big 6x4 mats, because most of the games I used to play kind of were on 6x4 mats, or I always thought, well, if I buy a 6x4 mat, I can always kind of like block it off to make a 4x4 game or a 3x3 game or something like that. So I've always kind of gone in and bought big mouse pad mats. But the problem with the big mouse pad mats is that they tend to be, they're quite heavy. Yeah, they take up quite a bit of space to store. And they're not that cheap, to be fair. And another issue, I would say, that we've got at the minute is the vast majority of those mouse pad mats are made overseas. And with our lovely Brexit conditions at the moment, and supply issues around the world, and shipping issues, and stuff getting sort of sitting in the docks and sitting in customs and not getting shipped, I'm a little bit wary these days about kind of investing and sort of sort of buying mats from companies who are generally kind of like over in Poland and places like that. So I've been looking for a mat for Marvel Crisis Protocol for a little while now. The official Marvel mats, there's about 3 of them, I think it is, and most of them are kind of out of stock. The original kind of city map and the one with the roundabout on are like kind of like hen's teeth. You hardly see them anywhere rather. And the third one that Atomic Mass Games do is that kind of sort of spaceport, kind of bluey, purpley looking one. It's a little bit busy for my particular taste. I'm not as keen on it, hence why I think you can still buy it. So I've been looking elsewhere to get myself a decent 3x3 mat. I'm busy printing off my 3D printed Subway board, but obviously that's going to take a little bit of time. I'm wanting to play games kind of now. So I've been looking around and getting some advice about where people have been buying mats from. Some folks have bought some from a company in France, which are quite nice. Some have been kind of taking the pain and importing Deep Cut Studios. I know somebody who bought some Deep Cut Studio mats and then got stung for VAT as well, again on top of import costs. So it's kind of like sort of, it was hard to know where to go for mats. So I saw an ad on Twitter last week from Tiny War Games. The Tiny War Games are quite often in our chat, actually. They quite often come in and kind of like sort of say hello. He's kind of dropped the odd donation as well, which is massively appreciated. And he was doing a Marvel Crisis Protocol mat for 15 quid. And I thought, 15 quid, one, that sounds too cheap. It mustn't be very good, and I appreciate that. He might even be in the chat, or he might listen to this at some point. So I'm going to be totally honest. I thought 15 quid sounds a bit cheap. I can't imagine it's up to much. However, I'm going to give it a go. So I contacted Richard at Tiny War Games, and I said, look, yeah, I'll have one of those. And he offered to send it to me for free to have a look at. And I did offer to pay for it because I thought like 15 quid. I don't mind paying 15 quid. I was kind of contacting you to kind of order it, but he insisted. He said, look, I want you to send one, have a look at it, and kind of just and let me know what you think, kind of thing. So I haven't actually told him what I think of it, but as you can tell, I'm chatting about it tonight. So what I got was this mat, and the mat is made of vinyl. Now, ordinarily, I would avoid vinyl mats, if I'm honest. And the reason I would avoid them is probably the biggest reason is I bought one when I used to play Star Wars X-Wing. I bought like a space mat, and the quality of the print wasn't very nice. You got some very obvious, when you're printing onto like inkjet paper, and one of the colours is starting to wear out, and you get like kind of banding across it. That's how it looked on the space mat. I must admit, I wasn't happy with it. I didn't pay a lot for it. I probably paid something like 25, 30 quid for it. I was impatient. I couldn't wait for a mouse mat one, and I wasn't happy with it. And I kind of vowed out I wouldn't probably buy another one. However, the quality of this one is absolutely fantastic. And I'm not sure if technology of printing on vinyl has got better, whether the quality of the vinyl that Tiny War Games is using is better, whether things have or whether Tiny War Games just do a better sort of a quality job of it. But the quality of the mat, I mean, you can kind of see it on there. It is super, super nice. Now, what I would say is they put some bits of leaflets and stuff in and kind of let you know and things. They put this leaflet in, and this leaflet is actually printed on the vinyl as well. It's actually printed onto the vinyl, so that when basically if you're buying and we'll come onto their website in a second, if you buy any of their mats, they put this in just so you can actually see what the quality of the print is like, and what the quality of the vinyl is like. Now it's one of those things where I think if you're just starting out in gaming, if you're just starting a new game and you're not really sure if you want to sort of spend big money on it, because I think if you're starting to kind of buy into like sort of mouse mats and stuff buying from overseas, you're probably still talking £45-50, plus you're going to be paying shipping from overseas and stuff. There's always a chance you're going to get stung with a little bit of import tax and things. Do Brits consider mainland Europe overseas? Yes, mate, because we still have to pay. Like it is overseas, isn't it? Anywhere that has to come over either by air or by water, we're going to get stung with some kind of import charges and taxes and stuff now. So it kind of makes you kind of sort of double think it a little bit. But if, like I said, if you're just kind of getting started into a game and you're not sure you want to drop too much money on it, I think these are absolutely fantastic. They're nice and kind of like, I mean, you can kind of see my hand there. You could spill a drink on them and it'll just kind of sort of just mop off. It won't kind of, it's not going to soak in. It's not going to cause any print to run or anything like that. I mean, obviously there's a lot of lights in here as well. Just in front of me, I'll kind of show you on the camera. That way over there, there's a LED light looking at me. There's an LED light there looking at me. There is 2 studio lights facing down onto the table as well. And you can see that it's not really, well, Gary Barber there just saying, how glossy is it? You can see it's not really picking up any of the shine of the studio lights as well. Because another thing for me personally, kind of obviously doing sort of battle reports or any kind of filming or anything like that, I don't want it to be kind of overly shiny and give me a lot of light reflection. But you can see here there's a nice matte finish to it. Even with all of these studio lights on it, it's not kind of it's nothing too bad at all. And so yeah, so this is the one they're doing. What I've done is, if I can get I'll get the website up. I should urge as well that whilst they did send me this mat for free to take a look at, this is not a sponsored video. I'm not being paid to kind of do this. He hasn't asked me to kind of do a review or anything like that. He literally just sent it so I could kind of have a look at that, because I think the vinyl mat is something that maybe he's either just moved into or he's trying to kind of push a little bit at the moment. But Tiny War Games do mats in lots of different kind of types. So he says basically on the kind of the stuff here that it sends with all the pricing and stuff on it, they do 6 different materials. They do cloth mats, lino mats, fleece mats, velour mats, leatherette, rubber backed felt, and I think he also does some mouse pad stuff as well. But we'll take a look at the website here. So the map that they sent to me here is this marvelous one here, and it's basically this one here. So you can see £15 the ship worldwide, and that's kind of, so that's you can see the design from above there. And this is what the mat looks like, so you can see. And I have to say, I honestly, I was going to buy this one purely just kind of, I needed something kind of to tide me over until I was kind of until I got my table finished. I had these kind of, as you can see, I've got these kind of buildings, like these 3D buildings I've been printing off. I wanted to have something to basically use it with, but I just couldn't seem to get my hands on there, like kind of on the main kind of Marvel mats, if you like. And so I thought for 15 quid, it'll tide me over. It'll be okay in the short term. But I have to say, and why I've kind of decided to kind of talk about on the stream tonight, I was really impressed actually with it, and I think it's one of those things. I know other people will feel the same way that I do. That, oh no, I don't fancy that. Like it's going to be dead shiny, or it's probably just going to be cheap and it'll tear or something like that. I mean, the quality of it, it's got a good strength to it. The models move around fine. They don't like I'm pushing it there, but it's not like sliding around. It's not like super shiny, so things are kind of like sliding around it all over the place. You can kind of nudge it and it's just it'll move, but just the same as it would kind of on a mouse mat, if you like. Let me just move that down there. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I just think it's one of those things that if you're in the market for it, you want something a little bit kind of different. If you want to, if you've always fancied like a snow mat but don't want to spend like £70 on one. So if I go back to the website here, they've got lots of different designs. You can pretty much just pick the type of mat that you want. The design, you can pick the size you want, and then you can pick the material that it's printed on as well. And it's basically saying these kind of like sort of PVC mats, 3x3 is £15, 4x4 £20, 6x4 for £30 plus postage and packaging. But £30 for a 6x4 mat is an absolute bargain. Obviously loads of different types. So we got like sort of sea mats, so perfect for something like a marder if you're wanting to kind of play a marder, or kind of Black Seas or something like that. So there's lots of different types of sea designs as well. What I would say is the colours are nice and bright on these without being like, without looking artificial. One of the Marvel mats looks a little bit bright, I would say. And one of the Marvel mats, the proper Atomic Mass Games one, and I think by the time you put the terrain and stuff on it, it kind of dulls it down a little bit. But the green of the grass looks almost kind of like luminous a little bit. These ones look great. So yeah, so there's kind of sea mats on here, and there's desert mats, but like not just one design, if you like. There's lots of kind of different sort of types of designs, different sizes. You've got like Mars kind of desert looking stuff. I've been tempted to get like a snow mat, but it's one of them things where I think I'll hardly use it. The reason I want a snow mat is my Kings of War army is based with like kind of like snow on the bases, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a snow mat to kind of play on now and again? But I always think like by the time I pay like £70 for a map and all that kind of stuff, I'll hardly use it that often. But yeah, for these, like they do these cloth mats. I mean, you can kind of see some of the designs. Some of them got like roads and stuff on. I like a nice little one. There's a, I mean that's a cloth design, but you can have it on other materials and stuff like that. But perfect for things like Malifaux, perfect for things like Frostgrave. I mean, it's kind of, it says 4x4, but you can obviously order it in a 3x3 design and stuff. But yeah, they're just, you can see the kind of close up view with the cobbles and stuff. I kind of urge you just to go and check them out. If you are like me, and you'd kind of basically just think, yeah, that kind of like that PVC, that vinyl stuff would just, you know, be a waste of time kind of thing. I was really, really surprised with just how good it looks. It comes kind of rolled up. You do have to kind of like sort of roll it in the opposite direction to get it to lie flat and stuff like that. This one could do with probably being rolled a little bit more, to be fair. It's still been kind of rolled up over the weekend, and I only just rolled it out again tonight. So you do kind of like, it's not like a mouse mat with the extra weight where you just kind of roll it out and it lies flat. You do have to kind of sort of roll it in reverse, if you like, just to kind of get some of the curve out of it. But it's, by the time you get your sort of your terrain and stuff on it, been really impressed. So yeah, 15 quid for this map. I don't make any money from it. I'm not doing any affiliate links, anything like that. If you look at them and you buy them, that's kind of like, you know, that's not like, it doesn't help me at all kind of thing. I just think that, like I said before, this is the kind of thing I would totally disregard. I think I would just discount it and say, I don't really want that kind of thing. I don't think the quality will be up to much. I would love to see this kind of stuff being included in like sort of 2-player sets and stuff like that. I get why it's not. You wouldn't want to kind of fold it in half and get creases in it, I suppose. But it would be nice to see this kind of stuff like as an option. You know, like when you're getting into like a new game and stuff like that, and you want a nice new mat to go with it. Check these out. Good stuff. So let me go back and have a look in the chat. Yeah, Peter saying don't mention Brexit, mate. I'm trying to get stuff locally and it's a real pain. Yeah, Kaylee saying no one bothered with the cosmic terrain stuff as far as I can tell. Yeah, I quite like the terrain, but I've seen a mat where the cosmic mat and the cosmic terrain, and the cosmic terrain was painted to match the mat. And like it was just hard to see where tokens and stuff were. It didn't. It was a little bit kind of brain blending, if you like. Christian saying, yeah, cosmic terrain and mat are born. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, mate. Yeah. Colton saying Hulkbuster. Yeah, Hulkbuster's there, buddy. Tolmot saying Matt looks great. Like I say, I was really impressed, mate. Lord Min saying we never know if we'll have to pay when it arrives in the country. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Kaylee saying, do the edges curl? That's something that put me off. These ones. These ones are curled very, very slightly, but I think that's, like I say, it's been rolled up all weekend while I've been away. It's been rolled up in around a holder and stuff, and I only rolled it out kind of just to put it out for the show tonight. I think if you roll it in the other direction, even put a little bit of heat in it with like a hairdryer or something like that, it will certainly kind of just it'll just flatten out. I'd imagine it looks fine. I mean, where it is at the minute, I've got like obviously there's some buildings on the ends of the mat and stuff like that. And it looks all right. Luke's saying the only thing I have against vinyl mats is they don't sit flat as easily, and all the ones I've seen and played on were too shiny, because any shiny too much for me. That does look good though. Yeah, honestly, mate, that's another thing I always put me off, as I said before in the big chat there, especially under studio lights. I mean, like as I said before, there's like, oops, let's go to that one. We've got 1, 2, 3. There's a light behind me, 4. There's a light here, 5. There's 2 above me. There's 6 lights. Plus the kind of the lights that are kind of like lighting the other side of the studio. There's about 7 lights in here, and like I'm sure you. I mean, I'm kind of looking over there now, trying to strain my eyes to see the screen. I don't think you can see any kind of like light reflections coming down off them. It was one of my concerns as well, was that kind of like sort of shyness and stuff. But as I said before about moving the models about, if I kind of like nudged the model and it kind of like went sliding across the mat, you know, like. Let's grab these cars and stuff. Like, they're not. It's not like skating across it kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It looks pretty good. Sunday Sykes says, as an Aussie, it's getting very limited for choice. If we don't want to go overseas products, and anything in Australia gets sold out fast. I think we typically a lot of the kind of the companies that make these mats and stuff. Like not this particular mat, but like the mouse mats and stuff, have always been kind of like sort of like Eastern Europe, like Poland and sort of like Czech and over that way really. And I don't know why. That's just where a lot of these kind of companies have been based, I think. So in the past, I've tended to club together. So if a few people from a club have been buying something, we've put a big like group order in and bought a few at the same time. Or I've waited until things like Salute or like wargaming shows, and I've gone and picked them up where I can physically go and like get them. People like Goblin Gaming and Element Games are starting to kind of get some in stock, but I think they're few and far between. I think they kind of order them. If you order one from them, they probably order them from the supplier, when you might as well just order them yourself. It's just, and now obviously we've got this added complication and risk of sort of charges being incorrectly applied and correctly applied sometimes, and still having to pay more. It's a bit of a lottery as to whether it'll cost you more when it arrives. Luke's saying, I've played on some cloth mats that have really impressed me. I've got the what's it called? The Dreadfleet mat, the sea mat for that one. That's just a cloth mat as well, and that's pretty nice, to be fair. Busy saying, if that's 15 quid, you can't knock that. Yeah, that's what I thought, mate, for 15 quid. Like, even if it's something that you want to take down the club and you don't mind it kind of getting a bit dirty, or if somebody's going to kind of like sort of, you know, when you've got a bit of a beer and pretzels game night and you're not too worried about sort of drinks on the table type thing, this is probably perfect for that. Yeah, Colton saying for £15, that's a steal. Yeah, 15 quid, mate. Honestly, if anybody does go and check them out and decide they kind of like, you know, that they want to pick one up or whatever, let them know that kind of you saw them here. Always helps to kind of like just to helps me out from that perspective kind of thing. But yeah, and the guy basically, Richard, who sells these, makes them to order as well. So if he's got a different sort of design you want, if there's something a little bit special. I think he just basically prints them when you order them, so it's not a case of having to wait for him to get stuck in either. Mark was saying shipping is a bit steep. I'll check with my friendly local gaming store. I believe they stock some. Shipping's a bit steep. I can't remember what the shipping is on these, mate, to be fair. Beauty says probably a bonus that you don't get that fuzzy feel that you get on a mouse mat types. I quite like the mouse mats, to be fair, but you sometimes the print quality, depending upon which company it's from, the print quality can vary a little bit as well. I've seen some that have kind of like a little bit blurred, where it's almost the ink's soaked into the material a bit and stuff. Obviously, it's kind of super sharp with this one as well. Christian saying, get your BlackJack Legacy merch, like the shirt Andy is wearing. This very fetching polo shirt. Thank you very much for sharing the link there, mate. Peter saying, yeah, sea mats for Dreadfleet. Vijay said, I wonder what their postage cost to Australia is. That'll dictate if they're as good as cost as Warzone Studios in Russia. Yeah, I guess Russia's a little bit closer to you, mate, to be fair. We certainly wouldn't be wanting to kind of ship from Russia over to here, that's for sure. Dax Destroy saying, how hard was it to get a lay flat? Not hard at all, mate. I took it off the tube, I rolled it in the opposite direction, and I put it down, and what you see tonight is basically that. Let me go back. Yeah, so So you can kind of see where we're here. You can see here, there's a little bit of curl at the edge there. But that's just like, it's not like kind of curling all the way back. And I didn't overly prepare it. I probably should have done. I probably kind of should have sort of tried to get it as flat as possible. But I didn't. I just put it down like that. And to be fair, I'd be happy to play on it as it is now. So. Kaylee said, I can see someone throwing a piece of load-bearing terrain and it curling up, sending models flying. No, I don't think it's. I think it's all right. I mean, it's, yeah, no, certainly not. I wouldn't say it's got the weight in it to kind of like to send anything flying really. No. Tiny War Games is in. Hello, mate. How are you doing? She's glad you like the mats. Please note, always reverse roll to avoid curling on our PVC mats. Yeah, so I did it a little bit before I kind of set it up tonight, but I'll do a proper review of this. I think like once I've kind of spent some time with it and I've rolled it out properly. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you a lot a bit of a sneak peek tonight because yeah, like I said kind of before, I would assume that there are other people like me who probably would have written them off like as a material to say it's not really for me kind of thing. But yeah, I've been impressed with it. I think you're seeing 29 quid to Australia. Yeah, there's Australia, mate. Other side of the world, to be fair, mate, isn't it? It's that's the thing. Tiny War Games say, all our PVC mats are matte finish. Yeah, that definitely kind of I can see that from the lack of kind of reflection on it anyway. Kaylee's asking there as well, can I do that design on other material? Just as seen, look pretty good, especially for the price, which is excellent. Yeah, like I say, obviously, you know, you pay your money, you take your choice. You kind of, if you want to buy kind of mouse mats, if you want to buy any other kind of mats, you buy whatever you want. But I just think like for those designs that you might think I'm only going to use them a few times, if it might be for like a special game for Christmas or something like that, you might want to be kind of like setting up a special game and you want a winter themed mat that you might not use very often. It's perfect for that kind of stuff. But yeah, but in saying that, I can see it is getting plenty of use. It's not the kind of stopgap that I thought it kind of would have been. Yeah, UK Europe postage is cheap, but length is an issue to Canada and Australia. Cloth has cheaper postage. There you go. And he prints on 6 other materials. Christian says, in Spain we have Worgen War Games. They sent a few years ago for Battle for Bilbo stock, and it looked cool for Dead Zone. Ah, nice one, mate. And V saying about cloth. Jess says, might have to treat myself to some mats. Yeah, I must admit, mate, like for me, it's nice to kind of like to have different options of when I'm showing stuff on camera. The last thing you want is to see the same thing like all the time, but obviously that gets expensive. So it's nice to have some other options. Luke's in there. Dreadfleet one is lovely. Yeah, I was surprised there was a big cloth mat in that game, mate, when I got it, to be fair. Deep Red says, I got both Tiny War Games and P-Works vinyl mats, and I can attest to their quality. Won't revert to any other mat now. There you go, mate. High praise indeed. VG saying about a water mat. Yes. Tiny War Games says, enter the code BlackJack in the next few days for 10% off. There you go. I didn't know about that. That was something he's obviously just decided to do. So yeah, BlackJack, capital letters, 10% off. Awesome. Thank you very much, mate. Sonnet Sykes says, I know that production in Australia can be expensive, so it doesn't happen when Eastern Europe is half the price. But I'd happily pay more for Australian made, receiving it in under a month. Yeah, and to be honest, mate, I'm a bit like that as well. I'd rather buy something, like when I say locally, I mean kind of like in the UK, and not have to wait like kind of and have that worrying like, well, am I going to pay more? Am I not going to pay more kind of thing as well. Jay says, so could get a giant 3x3 of Andy's face to battle over. What a time to be alive. Where are we at here? Tiberian mouse mat ones can have an issue that the print follows the weave of the fabric bonded to the neoprene. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think there's a one that I've got, and it's got like blood stains on it, like intentionally as part of the design. I didn't just cut myself, and they look like they've kind of. It looks like they've blurred, like and not like over time. I think from the original print, and it might just depend on which kind of company they're from. I forget where that one was from, to be fair, but it wasn't the Deep Cut Studio ones, because the Deep Cut Studio one I've got is I bought the Star Wars Legion 6 foot by 3 foot one, so I know it's definitely not that one, because that was like a grass kind of like muddy field type thing. John saying, evening all, have I missed Andy emptying my wallet twice? Have you covered the Orcs yet? I've covered the Orcs, mate. Yeah, you're all right. VG saying, gameplay area for Armada is 4x4. Yeah, it is 4x4, mate, yes. But yeah, as John's saying there as well, you can kind of play on any size you want. VG says, you could just cut your friend's fingers off for eating crisps and touching your stuff. That's just some people there. If you're playing with young ones and stuff like that, though, like and you want your kind of D&D games, anything like that, things where you're maybe not necessarily kind of wanting to spend like £70-80 on mats. Christian sharing the link there as well for Goblin Gaming. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. Tony's saying he's just ordered one bugger. Sorry, mate. Give him a shout. I'm sure he might be able to sort something out for you, mate. John says, just empty my wallet once with a 10% off. Then yeah, exactly, mate. Just the once. But like I say, let me move the microphone so I'm not screaming at you all. I just just to kind of recap. Really, I think the print quality is really good. I think. I'll tell you what I will do there, just so you don't think I'm trying to kind of hide anything. Let me. I'll move my. It's just me there. That's all. It's just me. I'm not trying to kind of like hide anything in the corner or anything like that. I just think the print quality is really good. Like you can get in. What I'll do is I'll take some photographs and I'll pop them in the Facebook group so you can see it like nice and kind of close up and stuff like that. You're not getting like kind of like sort of print lines or anything like that on it. There's no kind of blur in it. It's a really sharp image. Scale wise, you can see obviously these are the cars from Marvel Crisis Protocol that come in the core set. I do apologise not getting this terrain painted just yet, but you can see they kind of like they fit in the width of the roads and stuff like that. There's no issue with kind of scale and stuff like that. Dotted around the map basically is you've got kind of like a muddy area over to the right there as well. So if you've got the Marvel the official terrain stuff that looks like it's kind of like on a building site type thing, would fit in there quite lovely as well. This is my Corvus Games terrain coffee shop there that's printed as well. I'll just move that over so you can kind of see there's a nice big area in the middle. So you could kind of you could leave that open. It can be like just a paved area and stuff like that. There's a little area down here as well, which kind of looks like kind of cobblestones or it's been dug up and stuff. Down in this corner here, wait, and just see my hand sticking out from underneath my camera. Is kind of like those kind of like nuclear bunker door type things. But obviously, all of that stuff can either be covered up, can be covered up with buildings, or anything like that. Nice little grassed areas here and some over there as well. And there's kind of like some little like blood splats and stuff, kind of on the ground and skid marks and things like that. Yeah, pretty good indeed. So it's like one of the benefits of vinyl is that if you're a small store or club or group and you want to run a tournament but need lots of tables, it's a cheap option. That is a great shout actually, mate, when it comes to kind of events and stuff like that. If you are somebody that runs events, these are great to because one, they're cheap, and two, you just kind of roll them up and store them. It's not a case of having to like I've got like a rack next door with about 6 or 7 mouse mats on, and it's starting to kind of like stock up, and there's quite a bit of weight on the shelves and stuff, to be fair. Tiny War Games saying we also print PVC double-sided any design. There you go. Interesting. I didn't know that. Jason, does anyone know? Oh, Christian saying good idea for sure. We use those for Blood Bowl tournaments. Jason, does anyone know anything about a Corvus Belly game on Kickstarter? Pricey, but wonder if it's worth it. It's not for me, mate, if I'm perfectly honest. So I haven't paid too much attention to it. One, because I'm not keen on Kickstarter at the moment. Because obviously for all the reasons we've just been talking about with the mats and stuff as well, we've got absolutely no idea whether when it actually arrives, if you're just going to get like a massive big a fee for shipping and stuff like that, and for import and stuff. So that's one of the reasons I'm not overly keen on Kickstarter at the moment. The game it looks all right, but it didn't seem like it was kind of. It's not going to go to retail. I tell you, my main problems with this kind of stuff is it's not going to go to retail, which means that once you buy it, you'll be the only person that's got it. So you'll either end up painting everything and then trying to convince other people to play a game that they can't get into because they can't get any stuff for it. So you have to kind of treat it like a board game. And then for me, it just becomes very expensive and very bulky for a board game. Like, I'd rather convince people to pay Infinity or Code 1 and buy into that than buy into a little bit like Defiance. I quite fancied Defiance when it first came to Kickstarter quite some time ago, which is like an Infinity like dungeon crawler type thing. But again, it wasn't going to retail, so it's one of them things that you feel like you're in that trap of, if I don't buy it now, I'll never be able to buy it in the future, and then you overcommit on kind of how much things cost. And it's another reason why I'd rather, like, I think for me, I'd rather just kind of ignore that whole fear of missing out and just ignore that stuff. There's so much cool stuff out there that you can just go and buy in a shop or buy online now without worrying about kind of waiting 6 months down the line or waiting 18 months down the line or 2 years. So yeah, I tend to kind of steer away from Kickstarter these days. Features I prefer skid marks on cloth. Unfortunately, this happens, mate. Features says I have a standard 5-year-old, so I'm an expert. Yeah, Ed's just asking there as well if they print standard kill team sizes, and Tiny War Games saying they print any size. Christian says our group Bones Kickstarter has been sent today after 2 years. You remind me. I think it's one of those things that if you're buying as a group, if you're kind of like, you know, if you say, oh look, we'll all chip in, kind of like there's 4 of us, we'll chip in 25% of the cost each. We'll split it up when it comes. We'll get it painted and we'll play it on club nights and stuff like that. It's maybe a different proposition, but for me, I'd be paying for it all myself. And then I'd be looking for people to try and kind of convince to come and have a game. And what'll happen is it'll hardly ever see the table. I play board games with my wife and stuff like that, but she's not really into miniatures games. And like, to get the best out of it, you'd obviously want to have it all painted and kind of like, you know, make the most of it and stuff. And for me, it's just something that'll end up sitting on a shelf and never getting played. It doesn't mean it's a bad game, and it doesn't mean that it's kind of like a bad buy for anybody else. But for me personally, that's why I've not spent any time kind of looking at it really. So I can't really talk positively or negatively about it. Lord Maiden says, yeah, I understand. Some companies use Kickstarter like a pre-order thing, and some do it like that. I'm happy to back like Elia Chronicles and Moonstone to ensure it comes out to retail afterwards. Yeah, and I agree with that, mate. I think sometimes there's smaller companies who physically it's a massive risk to just kind of like go straight to launch, if you like, and hope people buy it. Like, for example, Corvus Belly's not a massive company, and what they're releasing with this tag raid, it's funny because I get caught between that kind of rock and a hard place that if they just released this now to retail, it probably wouldn't sell that well. Because I just think it's a game that's the kind of like, it's covered elsewhere by other stuff. However, because it's going to Kickstarter, everybody gets dead excited for it and gets caught up in the hype and the FOMO, and then probably spend a fortune. So that this kind of game works like that for Kickstarter. And then you got things like, we're just talking there about things like Elia Chronicles from Drowned Earth and from Moonstone, and that's about expanding the range. But because it costs a lot of money for upfront production to get stuff done. And these are smaller companies, relatively kind of like, I say one-man band type things, because they're essentially they're companies that's grown from basically 1 or 2 people just kind of, you know, like working it as a sideline, as a second job type thing, and they're growing gradually, and they're getting a little bit of traction, and they're getting a little bit of kind of noise, and they're getting a bit of a community around them. And the best way for them to kind of keep pushing forward is with Kickstarters and to fund that initial release, if you like, but then have that long-term plan of like, well, we're going to keep selling them, and anybody who gets into the game later can still pick that stuff up. So yeah, it's a funny one, really. Ed saying I like Kickstarter of RPGs, but I agree with you on mini games. I used to get excited for them as well. I've backed Kickstarters. I've got Hellboy over there, which I've backed. I've got Resident Evil 2 over there, which I backed. I've got Batman Arkham, what's it called? Gotham City Chronicles, which I backed. I get just as excited as everybody else does and stuff. But then I think about how many times some of those games see the table, and then I realise actually like Batman Gotham City Chronicles is a prime example. Some lovely miniatures in there. I love Batman. I love the superhero stuff. It's quite a complicated game. I would say that there has since been more Kickstarters as well. Since then, 2 more, which keeps adding more stuff to it. And I've not even kind of scratched the surface of what that game is because nobody's interested in it. Nobody else wants to play. It's too difficult to get it to the table fast. It's too much hassle for people to learn the game to like never play it again for like 3 or 4 months or something like that. So yeah, I've kind of really pulled back on that kind of stuff now. Christian says, yeah, it's part shipping thing, discount and share some models from a huge perk. That's much too more to taste. Yeah, that's fine, mate. If there's a few years grouping together, then it becomes about, is it worth it to you as a group, basically, yeah. Sunday Sykes says, I was going off Kickstarter, then I saw the Marvel Dice Throne, did the maths on how much it would cost at retail, and it's going to be almost double. So I jumped on it, but no interest in added extras. I'm always wary, mate, about those kind of estimated, this is how much you'll pay at retail stuff. Because I got stung once when I bought a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter hadn't shipped to me yet. And I saw it for sale in a store because they'd bought like retail editions with 20% discount. And I could have went into that store and bought it cheaper on the day than I'd paid for it and still didn't have it yet. And that was another one of those kind of like, why am I even bothering? If I still want it when it comes to retail, I might as well just wait. Like I have more than enough models coming out of my ears that I don't need to feel the need to have like sort of Kickstarter exclusives, if you like. Andrew says, I get Kickstarter for companies just starting out. I don't get it for Privateer and Corvus, companies with an audience and a track record. I kind of get it. Because people, I don't know much about Privateer Press, to be fair, but Corvus are not a huge company. They're big enough to kind of be to be making this kind of stuff. But I think it's definitely a case of like it's not like it's free to get to a point where the game goes on Kickstarter. They've put a lot of time and money into getting to that state, but it reduces the risk to see kind of how much the audience wanted, how many people wanted, especially in current like uncertain times and stuff like that. So I do get it, like from that kind of perspective. But like if Games Workshop went to Kickstarter or something like that, I'd be saying, like, what, really? Like that's kind of like that's taking the mick a little bit now. I just think it's less of a platform for kickstarting ideas and getting a crowd behind it now, and it's more of a kind of like a let's test the water, and it's more of a pre-order system these days. Christian sharing the Amazon link there as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't forget Black Friday, and also don't forget as well if you click the affiliate link for me there for Amazon, and you have a free Audible trial, that also helps out the channel as well. And I think at the minute there's a bit of a bonus on Audible at the moment. I think you might get like 3 months or something for like $1.99. So yeah. You get to keep those books as well once you cancel your... If you have the free trial and cancel it, you get to keep your books as well. Busey says, what's a good price to pay for Marvel Crisis Protocol core set? Yeah, Lord Maiden saying about £80 or cheaper seems a good price for it. You can definitely pick it up kind of in the mid-70s, mate. Most places will have it in the mid-70s. I paid about 65, 66 for mine, but it was going back a little bit during lockdown when maybe the game wasn't quite as popular as it is now. It seems to have taken off a little bit now, to be fair, and it's like it feels like it's the game that's growing and it's getting a lot of attention. So I think prices have crept up a little bit now. But yeah, if you can get it anywhere in the kind of in the mid £70 mark, you're probably not doing too bad, fella. Ed saying, if you're not GW or Wizard of the Coast, you're a small company in this industry. Yeah, exactly, mate. I think people forget that, really. I mean, they see how many things Mantic are releasing, they see how many things sort of Corvus Belly are doing and that kind of stuff. I think people just assume that they're kind of like much bigger companies than they are. But yeah, it's not quite as not quite like that, really. Sunnet Sykes says, regarding this product, I'm confident in my savings as they had 2 editions out previously and the Marvel set is compatible with the current set. Same content, drawing parallels in this case is safer. Yeah, potentially, mate, and it might be very localized as well. It might depend. The thing that I would say is sometimes by the time you factor in the much higher shipping costs, like for example, I think I bought something on Kickstarter, and I think it ended up costing me about £35 in shipping because it might have been Super Fantasy Brawl by the time I bought all the bits and pieces for Super Fantasy Brawl, and I bought the case to go with it as well. I think it ended up costing me like £30 in shipping, and I could have got that cheaper at retail, purely by the fact I would have got free shipping as well, and I would have got discount off the price. So I think it might be product dependent, but I've seen it a number of times. Tiny Wargames says, we wanted to offer a more cost-effective matte solution, but we still offer 6 other materials for a more permanent matte solution. We are working on other Marvel-type mattes. I'm glad to hear that, mate. The Marvel stuff is ideal for me because it's like 3x3 stuff, nice and cheap, and then I'm kind of quite happy to kind of just sort of pick up some unusual designs and print off some 3D terrain for it and stuff. Like I can see me picking up like kind of like a snow mat for doing that kind of sort of game. I can see me getting a desert mat for like sort of like kind of like New Mexico type thing. I can see me looking for like something that's maybe something a bit more unusual, like sort of forest type stuff really as well. Like if you think about all the different Marvel universes, like all the different movies that the locations where fights have taken place, like I wouldn't mind like an airport mat to do that whole kind of Civil War fight. I can print off an aeroplane and stuff like that. I'll get like a big model aeroplane. I can imagine all that kind of stuff. Christian's off the bed. Thank you very much, buddy, for coming in. Appreciate it. Lord Main said, I call them medium bands, like 4 to 6 major members and roadies and crew with them, whereas Oathsworn, Goblin King Games and Allmark are very small. Even Warlock is small. Most places are kind of like three people max kind of thing, and most people are kind of freelance. If you saw the interview I did with Matt from Mantic Games, I think people are always surprised with just like how few people work for Mantic. Kaylee saying Savage Lands board would be awesome. Yeah. Tiny Wargames saying we do an airport mat. I'll have to check that out now, mate. Sunday Takes is very true. Shipping costs can screw us sideways on cost. Yeah, the shipping costs. Like I said before as well, with everything that's going on at the moment, with kind of like trying to get like trade agreements and all this kind of stuff sorted out. Not only do we end up paying higher shipping costs to start with, you never know if it's going to kind of go up as well. And I think there's a lot like I think there's an issue is that companies never used to charge VAT for stuff into the UK. I think for some way they've basically had a workaround, and now they're actually charging VAT. So it looks like everything's gone up in price. And I think really what's happened is they're charging the right price now when they should have been charging it before. Jess says there's a hell of a lot of choice on Tiny Wargames. Looking at 6x4 Grass Jobby and double-sided 4x4 Marsh and Grayscape. Sorry. Yeah, I tell you what, mate. When you have a look, it's almost too much choice. You go, oh, well, I like that one, and I like that one. Oh, but I like that one as well. And you almost get to a point where there's a few times I've been shopping and I've been a bit like bewildered, and I've went, oh, I'll just wait. I'll wait till tomorrow and I'll see which one I fancy instead. But yeah, I can see me picking up some more now that I've actually seen this material. It's great for kind of stuff on the channel where it might not kind of get on the table kind of like every week type thing. It maybe might once every few months or something get rotated round. Yeah, it's perfect. Luke says European tax laws changed, so now all things require taxes and VAT to be paid. It was a ball ache sorting that out at work. Yeah, I'm sure I've read something about basically how companies importing into the UK basically weren't charging people VAT, even though they probably should have done. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think, at the minute, like with all that kind of stuff. It just makes it really difficult to know what on earth? Like, you should be getting charged, I think. Palmsy says, any designers available on any size and any material on Tiny War Games, just send them an email. Yes, mate. I must admit, I do need to have a bit of a look over stuff. Lobin saying, so there is also something where you can be charged if the items are worth over a certain amount. I think they call it handling or something. Yeah, it used to be £130, I think it is, but I must admit, I've basically just completely sort of stopped sort of even look if it says it's coming from abroad. Like, for example, we've been looking for some furniture for home at the moment. Let me just check and make sure that this is all still working, because it looked like it went off on my screen there. It just said that there'd been an error. No, it's still going. We're all right. Yeah, we were getting some furniture, and in the past, like, we would have kind of bought stuff from from Europe and stuff, like garden furniture. We bought garden furniture in the summer, and it came from Holland. Like, now, I don't think I'd even risk it anymore now. Yeah, Lobin seen you alive. I think it was just on my laptop. It must have just skipped a beat there for whatever reason. Yeah, it's working okay on the streaming PC thing, but I use my laptop to check the chat, and it looks like that's playing funny buggers a little bit at the minute. And I think I moved the Wi-Fi box today, so I wonder if the Wi-Fi signal's not that strong down here. However, the PC is all hardwired in, so that's probably all it is. Tiny War Games is saying, thanks for looking at the mat. Glad you like it. You are welcome, mate. I appreciate sending it out. Yeah, and I thought it's only fair, kind of like it's better, even better than I expected, really. So yeah, it's only fair to talk about it. Don't forget the BlackJack code for 10% off. See you all soon, and thanks for the custom, everyone. Nice one. Lawman says, I always used to be like, stuff from China and Japan was never charged, but stuff from America got charged more. Yeah, stuff from America always used to hit customs, didn't it? Busey saying, you can get some custom BlackJack Max made it with your logo on. I could make, but do you know what it is? I almost got a one made like for this table, like just to kind of cover it over. But I thought it was a little bit sycophantic as well, to be fair. But yeah, I guess I don't know what I would do with them, mate. I don't know what I'd do with them. How are we doing? Oh, we're coming up towards 1:30. I think I'm going to call it about 1:30 tonight. Because I think I'm coming out with a bit of cold, if I'm honest. I'm feeling a bit bunged up. But yeah, so we'll do it till 10:30. We're not finished just yet. We're going to 10 minutes or so. I'll just get some water because my throat's a bit dry. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting. Oh, that was hard to open. Looking forward to getting my first game on the mat now, and I do need to get some paint on the terrain, though. I must admit, it's a shame it's all primed grey. It would have been nice to have some proper coloured terrain on it, but maybe next time. And I can now confirm, folks, as well. Now that my hand's wet off my bottle of water, I can now confirm that it does just wipe off the mat. Low Maiden says like a $40 box from America caused £20 charge, whereas a $150 Gundam bundle from China was free. I remember buying my lad a T-shirt. It was like a Destiny T-shirt, you know, the video game Destiny. And basically, if you got to a certain level in Destiny, you got this code which you could put into the website, and it allowed you to buy a T-shirt, basically, that said you were kind of like a certain level type thing. And he said, "Can I have one, Dad? Can I have it?" And I went, "Yeah, go on, then it's fine, you can have it." So we got this T-shirt, and then we obviously had to pay shipping from the States for it, which then bumped it up. And then I think I got stung for like another 20 or 30 quid import when it arrived as well. It ended up being one of the most expensive T-shirts I'd ever bought, I think. But yeah, I think obviously that you used to always, nearly always anyway, basically get customs charges into the UK from the States. And I don't understand the ins and outs of it, of why it is. I mean, I understand why we didn't get it from the EU and stuff, but I've got no idea why, like you say, from China, it was always fine, but from it's like even now, like, I mean, I know Tiberius, who was in earlier on, often buys things from like Banggood and stuff like that, which is like the bit like AliExpress type stuff. And he was like saying about like buying like 3D printers and stuff from there, they're cheaper. I'm always dead wary. I think Christian, who was in before, he bought an Elegoo printer direct from Elegoo, and ended up getting like a massive, like, he got hit with like a £200 charge or something when it arrived. So it wasn't as cheap as all that kind of thing, really. Or Tiberius in there. China and Japan always put customs declarations as being $5 and a commercial sample. That'll be why they made. They just don't want. They don't want the hassle of stuff having to go back and that. Yeah. So I'm genuinely just kind of wary of buying from overseas at the minute while things are a bit like that. Nothing to do with the companies themselves, just purely down to the fact that that it's just such an unknown quantity, really. Ian saying, how can I be a commercial sample if it was full of plastic drugs? It depends what your business is, mate. Maybe your business is selling plastic drugs. So, folks, I think we'll start to wrap it up there now. Thank you, everyone that's been in tonight. I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm gonna have a hot bath and an early night, I think. We'll be streaming on Wednesday. Rob Brown, hello, mate. Says, I'm the same as you, Andy, but nearly a year on from the changes. You think it'll be more understood now? Yeah, that's kind of half the battle, mate. That's half the battle. I thought it would have been sorted, but I feel like I still have no idea whether I'll get charged or not. And Tiberius is saying, banned sellers have it that they put UK VAT before it arrives. Yeah, I know, but like, there's so many people still get stung even though they think they've already paid the right price. It just kind of puts me off, mate. Anyway. Yes, streaming on Wednesday. We'll be doing the painting stream, the hobby hangout. What else we got coming up? I had a really interesting interview on Friday last week, and I'll be editing that up, and that'll be this Friday's video. I had an interview with Warren from Beasts of War on Tabletop, if you're more new to their channel, and he had some really interesting things to say, especially about the relationship with GW over the years. So I think that'll be one that'll be worth watching. It's going to be a long one. I haven't decided whether I'm going to split it into two sort of shorter. I say shorter. The interview lasted about an hour. We could have chatted for a lot longer. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to split it into two shorter ones or whether I'm going to keep it as one long video yet. But I'll release them both at the same time regardless. It's just the way YouTube works with like audience retention and that type of stuff. It sometimes benefits you better to have two separate ones than have it as one big long one. But yeah, we'll have that up for Friday. Yeah, I'll probably see some of you in the Discord for the Patreons. And if not, I'll kind of see you in and around social media, or I'll see you on Wednesday. So take care, folks. See you on Wednesday. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.